Kinds of Kindness is out in theaters, latest film from Yorgos Lanthimos, and a very quick follow-up to Poor Things, which came out just a few months ago. Apparently he made this movie while the previous one was already in post-production, which is why we have the quick turnaround. It reunites him with Emma Stone and Willem Dafoe, who are joined by Jesse Plemons, Margaret Qualley, Hong Chow, Joe Alwyn, and Hunter Schafer. It is the longest movie that Lanthimos has made yet, 2 hours 44 minutes, and it is an anthology of 3 shorter stories which use the same set of actors playing different characters each time, the same score, and explore similar themes. The first story is about a man who lives his life by religiously following incredibly detailed instructions provided by his boss, which extend to his personal life and include things like what to eat for breakfast and when to have sex with his wife. One day, the man refuses a request, which suddenly brings his life to a complete ruin. The second one is about a man whose wife goes missing on a scientific ocean trip and then suddenly returns, only for him to believe she's an imposter because of her unusual behavior, and he then sort of forces her to do stuff to prove that she's not his real wife. And finally, the third one follows a woman who's in a strange cult looking for the prophesied woman who's supposed to be an incarnation of their messiah or deity or whoever. All 3 stories explore the themes of control, of being dependent on someone or trying to win someone's favor, and the extreme lengths that people can go to in that regard when they become truly desperate. And both this desperation and those lengths are cranked up to 11, bringing Lanthimos to his roots, back to his roots, and creating a movie very reminiscent of Dogtooth. It's definitely way less mainstream than Poor Things or The Favourite. Instead, it goes all in on making the audience deeply uncomfortable and disturbed, on using the aesthetic of a theoretically real world, but kind of a heightened reality, a slightly absurd, slightly strange vibe. It's also a movie that doesn't bother to explain itself fully and leaves a lot of the weight of interpretation on the viewer, which is something I generally like. However, I have to be honest here and say that I didn't enjoy Kinds of Kindness very much. I think it's one of those movies which bring you more joy when you're analyzing and breaking them down afterwards, but are kind of a drag when you're actually watching them. It also seems to be the kind of movie which was much more enjoyable to make for the director and obviously the actors than it was for the audience to experience. I think it's too pretentious and bizarre. I think the fact that it's 3 short stories works against its favor, because all 3 feel like they end a little too quickly, a little too suddenly, and that there was more to explore or even to finish. But at the same time, when you combine them together, the movie is already very long, and as such, it's tiring to watch and at times just tedious. I will say that the performances are good. I especially like Jesse Plemons. I really appreciate all his work, and this one is no exception. I enjoyed the cinematography and the color use, especially with the costumes. I think the movie really makes the image sort of stand out in a striking way. I wasn't a big fan of the music. I thought that was also rather exhausting at some point. And I thought the humor was hit and miss. Some scenes really made me crack up, such as the home video scene or the tennis racket thing or the ending to the final segment, but not all of them. But on the whole, I think it's a movie that a lot of film buffs will sort of circle jerk around and find various things to talk about. And a lot of those things really are there. You can find them. It is a movie that lends itself to many interpretations. But I also think it's not an enjoyable viewing experience. At least it wasn't for me. And I am absolutely certain most of the general audiences will be freaked out by how strange and unusual it is. So I thought it wasn't for me. I can see why someone could like it, but I personally didn't.